Hello, everyone. It's July, and with July comes Summerween. Every year, sort of the booktube community posts a Summerween vlog in which they read horror adjacent books in the summer. Anything that you would think is a good fall, a good Halloween read. Now is the time to get your little horror, thriller, mystery, uh, dark fix before we go into the spooky season. So I'm going to participate. I'm going to read some horror books. I've had a lot of horror books on my shelves that I'm like, oh my god, those seem so interested, but they're not the vibe right now. But I forgot Summerween was a thing. And so when I saw the announcement for it, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to do Summerween this year because I've been wanting to read some horror recently and I haven't been. So I don't know how many books I'm going to read. It goes from July 5th to July 12th. It is July 4th right now. And last night I started one of the books that I'm going to read for sure, Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman. This is about a man named Noah. He is getting calls from his mother who keeps telling him that he needs to come home, he needs to get ready, it's coming, something is coming. She's not saying what, but something is coming. We learn that through him that his parents in recent years have fallen deep into the far-right conspiracy rabbit hole that is Fox News. And we know what real life news agency that is supposed to be. But they like sit around all day watching this, getting angry, stuck in their far right echo chamber of conspiracy, and they have just like completely changed. And I got to page 33 last night, and already the way he describes that shift, the way he describes Noah watching his parents change from relatively normal to far right conspiracy theorists, was a little on the nose. It was a little scary. So I'm having a good time and I'm excited to see where this goes. I have not read I talked about this and I'll post my quarter 2 book haul down below in which I hauled this book and I talked about it a little bit. But I said there that I did not read this whole synopsis. I don't really want to know where it goes. All I needed to know was that it was about what I just said, and then anywhere it goes from there, like, I'm on board. I want to see. So with that being said, Summerween is July 5th to July 12th. I don't know how many books I'm going to read in this time frame. 3 books is always a good amount for a vlog, so if I can get through 3, that'd be great. But I at least want to read this and Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. This I also talk about in my quarter 2 book haul. This is about Cora Zhang. She's a crime scene cleaner and she witnesses, I don't know exactly if this book, if the COVID pandemic happened in this book, but like it certainly was written during that time and in response to the anti-Asian hate that was going on in that time. But I don't know if that was like in this book COVID is happening. But what happens is Cora, she's with her sister, they're in the subway, and a man comes and pushes her sister in front of a train and he comes up and yells Bat Eater, like calls her a Bat Eater, and pushes her in front of the train. And Bat Eater is a pejorative that was used towards Asian people at the height of the COVID pandemic because of the misinformation and conspiracy about COVID that was being pushed. So this book is definitely a response to that. And I've heard it described as really horrific. So I want to see where it goes. And I just love the type of horror that is tackling real life issues and personifying those issues in some horrific way. And so I don't really know exactly where either of these books are going to go, but I am just in general interested in any author's take on a real world horror, whether that's far right conspiracy or anti-Asian hate and racism, and personifying that in a horror way and then seeing how they view those things based on how they write it through a horror lens. Like, I just love that idea. So I definitely want to read these 2 books in this vlog, and then maybe I'll read a third. There's a bunch of horror books I want to read. The Reformatory by Tananarive Due, When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy are just a couple on my shelves that I, really want to get to. So maybe, but these 2 for sure. And I'll come back as I read them with updates. Good evening. I finished Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. I haven't updated. I've had a very, very busy week. It's my last week of my current job, and I am trying to get overtime, like as much overtime as I can, because there's going to be a gap between like my last paycheck for this job and my first paycheck for my next job. So, I need it to be as sizable as possible. So I'm just super tired, and I haven't wanted to update throughout the week, and I don't even want to update now. And I probably shouldn't update now because my thoughts on this book are probably better articulated after having sat with them for a while. But we're just going to talk about them anyway. So I think this book comes across, or it sells itself a little bit more of a critique on right-wing media and right-wing conspiracy than I think it actually is. I think it's more of a critique on online rabbit holes in general that people can find themselves in, of all ages and of all demographics. So a key one, yes, is right-wing media and right-wing rabbit holes. Like that for sure is a major portion of the conversation that the author is trying to have. But it's also there are also conversations about like wellness spaces online, like anti-vax spaces, health and wellness, cleansing culture that do oftentimes lean right-wing, admittedly, but like they aren't inherently right-wing. So like mommy vlogging and we as mothers, we know better than doctors about what's best for the health of our children. Like those types of spaces are brought up here. And also just like brain rot culture in general, like whether it's right-wing media or it's a child doom scrolling on YouTube, just brain rot in general and overconsumption of online media in general is what the conversation is here. And it's not explicitly, at least not all of it is explicitly about right-wing media, although that is definitely a major part of the book. So we're initially following Noah Fairchild. He is a liberal man living in New York, and his parents have been calling him for days about the great reawakening that's coming, and he needs to wake up and open his eyes. These calls are becoming increasingly alarming, increasingly like religious psychosis-y, and so he decides to drive to Virginia, where his parents live, and check in on them, and finds an incredibly horrible scene that I won't detail here. But there's an incredibly horrible scene that he finds, and he also finds that his brother, Asher, has fallen victim to whatever psychosis his parents had fallen to, and I won't explain how or why Noah finds that out, but he does. And that concludes part 1, which is like 70, the first 67 pages. That's part 1. And then part 2, which is a very sizable portion of the book, this much, in fact, it's like 150 pages of the book, are about the weeks the 4 to 6 weeks leading up to when Noah goes to check in on his parents, and this great reawakening that his parents are alluding to. And it shows how Asher, his wife, and his kids have become indoctrinated into whatever has plagued Noah's parents. And it's revealed at the beginning of the book that it's not just Noah's family that's being affected, it's at least a nationwide thing that's happening. So and that's where we get these conversations that I was talking about right-wing rabbit holes, health and wellness culture, and just like general online brain rot. Because each member of Asher's family is afflicted by what is happening in separate ways, and they each are connected to one of those things I'm describing in some way, and it infects them in different ways. And so we're seeing each of their perspectives. Asher is Noah's brother, his wife is Devin, and then Caleb is his son, and they have another his teenage son, and then they have another son who I think was like 7. His name is Marcus. So we're going mostly through Asher, Devin, and Caleb's perspective and how they are being affected by whatever is affecting the country in the weeks leading up to this great reawakening. And then we get some of Marcus's perspective too, and how he is more tangentially affected by what's happening. So there's a lot of conversation here. There's a lot that Clay McLeod Chapman is trying to say, and some of those things I think are more successful than others. I don't want to spoil anything, but like this, the personification of these rabbit holes that I've described are like of demons. Like that's the way that the author is personifying these things, are as demonic entities. And like the entities are even mentioned by name, like they're actual demonic names that are used. So they're very clearly personified as demonic entities. And so there is sort of like an inherent religious aspect to this. Not that it's like religious propaganda or anything. Like, I don't know Clay McLeod Chapman's religious affiliation, but I don't think he's trying to, this isn't Christian horror or whatever. But there is an inherent religious conversation happening when you are personifying something as demonic. And so one of the ways, or several of the ways actually, there's a lot of masturbation scenes in this book. A lot. Between multiple characters. And so when we are personifying these things as demonic, and then you are also showing that, like, as you are showing these characters fall down their individual rabbit holes, and there is masturbation happening in there, my question, and like a lot, like enough that I am mentioning it here. Like, it's not just like a couple of scenes, like some side things about like a character just like flicking the bean or whatever. Like, it is a lot of masturbation scenes in this book. And like when when masturbation is such a presence in this book, and then demons are also such a presence in this book, my question for the author is like, what are you trying to say about that? Like, are you equating masturbation to like far right conspiracy and like anti-vax culture? Like, are you comparing those two things? It was just like a little off-putting to me. I also just had like general writing critiques from this author. First of all, like within in that first part, like in that first 70 pages, I had specifically underlined when the author, for like the 5th time within that first 70 pages, was what is the verbiage? It's like, however he was able to do this thing was anybody's guess. Or however this thing happened was anybody's guess. And the like, was anybody's guess suffix to a sentence, like, it was just used so many times, and it was just like so annoying. Like, where's that? Like, did an editor not catch that when they were reading? Like, hey, you're using the same phrase over and over and over again, like sometimes 3 times within a chapter. Like, we should probably find a new way to say at least a few of these sentences. And then this was like more apparent in the first part of the book, and then I had it either was not as big of an issue in the next 2 parts of the book, or I just got used to it. But this author relied so much on like the way words were typed rather than actually trying to describe an emotion. Like there were so many caps and there were so many words where like a vowel was elongated. Like instead of just saying sorry, SORRY, and then like, I don't know, he said sorry and then away and like describing how the character said sorry, he would like write it in italics and then it'd be like SOOOOOOOOOORY, like extending the word out, and then like the caps locks and the italics, and then like line breaks between each word, like a sentence, and then each word in that sentence, one of the word was one line, and then the next word was a different line, and the next word was a different line, like trying to indicate some sort of like foreboding or intensity instead of just describing those feelings. Like there was just a lot of reliance on the way words were typed rather than like trying to describe any feeling. Where I think this book was the most successful was in the third part, because the third part becomes sort of mixed media, where to describe who we're following in the third part and what's happening sort of spoils the first two parts of the book, so I have to be sort of vague. But whoever we're following in the third book, or the third part, is sort of learning about what's going on through podcasts and videos online. And those are included in like transcripts in the third part. And so it becomes sort of mixed media. And I thought that that was really successful. And the podcasters that this person is listening to and their analysis of what is going on, I think was sort of Clay McLeod Chapman's way of indicating to the reader his intentions with this book. And, I feel like a lot of people criticize R.F. Kuang in like Babel and in Yellowface, especially in Yellowface, for like hitting the reader over the head with her intention for a book, one of her books, and like overly explaining the themes of her books. And it's not that I am so illiterate that I can't pick up on those things myself, but I actually really appreciate when an author like just fucking hits you over the head with what they're trying to say. Because why are we being demure? Like, why are we being shy? Say what you have to fucking say. You wrote this book for a reason. Say what you have to say. So I really like when an author does that, and I think that's what Clay McLeod Chapman was doing in those portions where it's like a podcaster's take on what's happening in the world is really the author trying to tell the reader his analysis of what is happening in our world, and I really appreciated that. I thought that really worked. Also, the third part is told in second person, rather than, like, the rest of the book is not. So it switches to second person, and I'm not going to just explain why, because, again, I feel like it spoils things. But it switches to second person, and it, like, works so well for, like, getting across that character's state of mind. And it's also really funny, because it's, like, it's not just second person. It is someone in this character's head, like, the character kind of snaps and like is viewing what's happening in the world through like this character that they've created in their mind, and it's a real life person that they choose to like be narrating these events now and be talking in second person, because like they're describing what the character is doing, but like telling the character what they're doing. And like the person they choose is so funny and takes a shot, not like I said, a lot of this book is sort of taking shots at right-wingers and right-wing culture, but like the author is not afraid to take some shots at the libs too. Like, everyone is fair game, because everyone, whether you're on the right or on the left, to some degree contributes to the hate and the like super, super high temperatures of the country right now. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm a fucking lefty as fuck, So I'm not making any assertions that like, well, both sides, like I'm not doing any of that, but it would just be unfair to say that like the right is the only perpetuators of hate in this country. It's just simply not true. And so like what this author is doing with that third part and like why and how he chooses to tell that part in second person is like funny and also just like works for describing the character's state of mind and like is adding commentary to left-wing culture. So yeah, I thought that was so good. The third part of this book really is the best part of this book for sure. So those are my thoughts. Maybe I'll have more in my July wrap up. I don't think so though. I think that's pretty much everything I had to say. My rating that I'm giving this book, I'm giving it a 3.75 because in all the ways I just like this book pissed me off for all the reasons that I described before I started giving it some flowers. The writing was just annoying a lot of times. Like I felt like this author was very reliant on literary devices and like writing techniques that some were successful and some were just annoying and overdone. And like I wasn't completely on board with everything, like every conversation this author was trying to have. Like not all of them worked for me. So like for those reasons, a 4 just feels too generous, but even a 3.5 feels too harsh because I liked a lot of this book, and it was honestly feeling like a 3.5 for most of it until I got to that third part, because I feel like the third part was just so well done. So I'm landing on a 3.75. I would be remiss to end this review without mentioning that I buddy read this book with my new friend Lucy over at Luce in the Library. I'm gonna link down below. She's so fast with editing and posting her videos. She's probably gonna have her vlog where she reads this book out before I do. I think she's done like 3 Summerween vlogs at this point, and I'm like here still on my first, and I'm like only gonna post 1 and like probably only read 2 books because like she's just faster than I am. So if she does in fact have her vlog where she reads this book posted by the time I'm posting this, I'll link it down below. Otherwise I'll just post her channel down below. But you guys should go check her out. I really like her. I'm glad we buddy read this together. We had some good conversation over on Storygraph where we were hosting our buddy read. And yeah, it was just a fun time. I'm really glad we did that. So go check her out. Check out her video. I'm linking down below. And I'm going to come back with, first, I'm gonna read Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. And let's see if I finish it before Summerween. I'm hoping to post this video on Saturday because that's the last day of Summerween. But like, I won't be mad at myself if I post on Sunday. I don't think we're getting 3 books though, like for sure. I don't even like, even a novella, like I don't even know what I would read. Like, do I even have any horror novellas? Maybe something by Eric LaRocca. Maybe I have like a short story collection from him or something, but he always puts out like tiny little horror things that are like bite-sized. So I don't know, we'll see. But Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang coming up right now. Hi everyone. My hair is still wet because I just got out of the shower, but I need to do this quickly because I have to go to my leasing office and Karen the fuck out. Let me tell you about what's going on in my life just so I can complain. Also, Friday, it's Monday today. Friday was the last day of my job. So this was all my stuff. So that's what's happening there. But a few weeks ago, my fridge like went down, it like broke, and I didn't realize for like 24 hours because I had like been out, I'd been doing things, I wasn't at home eating. So I didn't notice for 24 hours, all my shit went bad. And so I went to my leasing office and they were like, oh yeah, send us pictures of like all the food that was in there and we can like discuss a number to reimburse you. So not only did I take pictures of every single thing that was in my fridge, I also created a spreadsheet with each item, the retail price of each item, how much of each item was left, and then based on the retail price and how much was left, a number for each item that I was requesting for reimbursement. And I did that for fucking every single item that was in my fridge. And the reimbursement came out that I was requesting was $287. This was a few weeks ago. They haven't been responding. I've like been emailing them like, hey, did you get this stuff? Like, and they said like, oh, we can't open the pictures. Can you send us the pictures again? And I had like put all of the pictures into a zip file for organization and sent it to them, and they're like, oh, we can't access it, can you send us the pictures again? So I had to attach each picture individually, and there was like 87 pictures, so it was like a pain in the ass. Finally sent it, they weren't responding, went into the leasing office on Saturday and was like, yo, what's going on? And they were like, the person that was there was like, oh, the community manager will be back on Monday and she'll get back to you. So this morning I wake up to a text from her and she's like, hey, just wanted to let you know that your $100 Visa gift card is in the leasing office ready for you to come pick up. I put in all that work and showed you exactly how much I believe I am owed, and it came out to $287. And so where are you getting $100? Like, did you just have that number in your mind? And whatever. So I need to film this really quickly so I can go Karen the fuck out. I'm wearing a little Summerween spooky thing. This is not what I'm going to be wearing for the day, but I wanted to be a little festive. I finished Bat Eater and Other Names for Porzang. I'm giving it a 4. There are a few things that are happening in this book, and I want to go through them one by one. And in discussing that, the reasoning for my rating will be unraveled. But first, I want to talk about, like, so I didn't realize when I started this channel how much I was going to be talking about my OCD. Like, that was not the purpose of this channel. But, like, because I have never, like, in my life, I don't think, read a book where a character with OCD is represented well or at all. Like, I just can't think of any book where that has been represented. And this year I've read 2, and you'll see this video in a couple months, but, like, spoiler for my quarter 3 book haul, I got House of Beth, which I want to read soon. And that also has OCD representation. And I didn't know that this was also going to have that representation. The other book that I read with that is The Charm Offensive. I read that in February. And so I want to talk about that a little bit because I do think that for people with OCD, of course, there are, like, lots of different flavors, so not everybody's going to relate. And I didn't relate to every symptom this character had. But the way she would describe some of her symptoms, like, really, like, it's like this author had interviewed me specifically and was like, what is it like for you? But I do think the author has OCD, so she was probably just drawing from her own experience. But so also, sorry, let me backtrack just a little bit. I think in my like, original pitch of this book, I had said that I didn't know, like, I knew that this book was obviously written as a response to the pandemic, but I didn't know if the pandemic was actually present in this book or if there was going to be something else going on that was, like, sort of alluding to the pandemic but wasn't actually. I was wrong. This is very much a pandemic book. It is set in the pandemic. It starts April 2020, like, peak lockdown, and then most of the book takes place in August 2020, where some things are starting to open up again, but largely people are still taking precautions. So if you are not quite ready to be reading pandemic books, this one is not for you, because it, like, COVID and quarantine and all of that is very, very, very present in this book. And that is bad news for Cora because of her OCD. One of the symptoms she has is, like, she has the, like, hyper cleanliness version. Like, her apartment is described as, like, being a minimalist IKEA showroom, like, polished, scrubbed, sanitized to perfection, not a speck of dirt anywhere. She, like, has to, like, do this cleaning ritual with her shoes outside of her apartment before she can come in. She doesn't like people going in her apartment at all of that. And when I say I don't relate to every aspect of Cora's OCD, that is what I mean, because clearly that is not the flavor of OCD that I am plagued with. But one thing that she talked about is, like, she is sort of, like, it's not stated that she's, like, a germaphobe or whatever, but it's pretty clear that she is just in her actions. And there's this one scene like that I'm using as an example, but this type of thing was sort of brought up a lot. And this like is a feeling that I really, really related to. But there's one scene where Cora's walking down the street and this man like spits in her face. And she's not ruminating at all on the fact that this is somebody else's bodily fluid, the germs that could be in there, the bacteria that could be in there, the risk of getting an infection or getting COVID or anything like that. Like the substance itself is not what she is thinking about, and what could be in the substance itself is not what she is thinking about. All she can focus on is the way the saliva feels on her skin and the warmth of it and the way that it drips down her face and feels the crevice or fills the crevices of her lips, and like how she has to like clamp her mouth down and like pucker her lips out to try and keep that from getting in her mouth, and just feel like the way it feels in the crevices of her face. And even after wiping it off and trying to wash it off, she can just still feel the imprint of it on her face and the warmth of it and the focus of that. And the way it is triggering her OCD has nothing to do with germs or infection or any of that. It's just the way it feels on her body. And that was so relatable. To know me is to know how much I wash my hands. I'm constantly washing my hands. And it has nothing to do with I'm worried about germs or what I could be touching or anything like that. It's just the way my hands feel. It's the way, like, if I touch a puddle of something and I don't know what it is, I don't really care what it is. It could be distilled water or it could be piss. I really don't care. I am just focused on the way this thing feels on my hand, and I need to wash it off. Um, and like if something splashes onto my face, like just how like this man spit in her face, so it's not quite the same, but like if I'm out somewhere and like if I'm like doing dishes or like even just like something like if like there's rains or sprinklers or something, or like there's water on a roof and it drips on my face or something, like that feeling of it, like that whole idea of like needing to purse your lips out so things don't intrude your body, and like not being concerned so much about not so much being concerned about it actually entering your body, but being concerned about the way that it feels as it is trying to get into your body, and like just the feeling of things sitting on your skin and the imprint of it even after you wash it off was just so, it's like, that's what I mean. It's like I feel like she interviewed me. Like, do I have any amnesia? Like, I feel like she interviewed me and asked what that is like, because it was so relatable. Okay, so that was just a little bit of a sidebar. I already talked about what this book is about at the beginning, but I'll just give a little bit of a quick pitch again. So we're following Cora Zhang. She's half Chinese, Chinese American. Her sister, both her parents are Chinese. They're half sisters. And they're living together during the pandemic. April 2020, height of the pandemic, they try and go run an errand, and they're living in New York. So when they are in the subway station waiting for the subway, a man comes up, yells "Bat Eater," and pushes her sister in front of the train and kills her. That's the first chapter, and it is, no joke, I think that is the best first chapter I have ever read. The descriptions of not only the description of the gore, but everything preceding it. Like, Kylie Lee Baker does such a good job of setting up a relationship between two characters and maintaining that relationship throughout the book, where one of those characters is only alive for the first 10 pages. Like, she packs so much setting into that first chapter, and it's so well written, and you get so much out of it. And then, like, of course, bringing you back to that time at the beginning of the pandemic where there was so much uncertainty and so much fear, was just so well done. And then when it happens that the man comes up and kills her sister, it is so sudden and so unexpected, and doesn't lead you into it at all. It just happens, and all of a sudden it's this really gory, disgusting, traumatic scene, and it's so well done. Like, I truly think that is the best first chapter I've ever read. It was so fucking good. Okay, so then flash to August of 2020. We're still following Cora. She's gotten a new job as a crime scene cleaner, and at her crime scenes, she is finding they're all Asian women. There's like been an influx of murders of Asian women, and so these are the calls that she's getting to clean up, and she is finding that at each of these crime scenes there are bats. In some variety, like, and for some of these women, they have dead bats literally stuffed into their body. Some there are like just live bats, like hidden in the air vents. So like they hear like the bats thumping around, and like they try and investigate like what is that, and they open it and it's a bat flying out. In one scene, somebody like her like the woman that was killed, her blood was used to paint a bat on the ceiling. So somehow, some way, bats are present at these crime scenes. And the mayor is not taking it seriously. The NYPD is not taking it seriously. So Cora and her coworkers are trying to figure out what is going on. On top of that, in Chinese culture, August is the 7th month of the year because Chinese New Year is in February. And that is, I forgot exactly like what the actual term they called it is. Like, I feel like there was another like more technical term, if you will. But, and I don't remember what it is, but the characters themselves were calling it Ghost Month. So that's the term I'll use because I don't remember the other one. But like August is Ghost Month, where ghosts like return back from the dead, specifically hungry ghosts, where it's sort of like I'm obviously not Chinese, so I'm not going to get the intricacies of this cultural event correct, but it's sort of like a unfinished business type of beat where like if you are not honoring the dead properly, or not setting up your altars and providing food for them and doing these things that are part of the Chinese cultural view of death, then in August they come back to the dead as hungry ghosts and haunt you. So that is sort of like wrapped around everything else in the book. So there's sort of two things going on. There's like this maybe serial killer, and then there's also this sort of supernatural hungry ghost haunting situation going on. And what Kylie Lee Baker does so well is, like, I think what most people are going to be coming to this book for. I think most people are going to be coming to this book, like, I think most people, when they see Bat Eater, are going to know exactly what this is doing, and it's exactly what I described. Like, it's going to be some sort of commentary on the pandemic and the way Asian people were treated in America because of the completely false conspiracies of how COVID started. This idea of it was started in a market in China where people were eating bats, like completely falsified, debunked, untrue. But that was the conspiracy that started, and that conspiracy made its way to America, or probably was originated in America, actually. And so Asian Americans were treated horribly. And so when people see Bat Eater, I think they know that's exactly what Kylie Baker is going to be talking about. And it is. And it's done so well. Like, her perspective on that as an Asian American woman herself, and the way she chooses to have that conversation through this thriller supernatural lens is incredibly successful. And so, like, I think that's the reason most people are coming here, and they're going to be satisfied because all of those conversations are done incredibly well. However, there is two things going on. It is the serial killer with the bats, and it is the supernatural hungry ghosts. And I think both of those things work well together. I don't feel like this was meant to be two separate books. I don't feel like Kylie Lee Baker was, well, I was gonna say I don't feel like she was servicing one of those storylines more than the other, but I do think that, like, for my own personal taste, I kind of wanted this to be more of a thriller where Cora and her friends are finding that the NYPD is not taking these murders seriously, so they are trying to solve it on their own. And it kind of is that, but they are solving it in tandem with the Hungry Ghost storyline. And because of what Kylie Lee Baker's intention was, and because of the conversations that she wanted to have, and because she wanted to shine light, or she wanted to include this sort of cultural aspect of the Chinese calendar year, specifically this ghost month, and include that into this inherently Chinese story. It's a story about Chinese American women and the way Chinese American women and Asian American women in general were treated during this time. So it like makes sense for all of those things to be put together. And I wouldn't change any of that. Like, I don't think anything should have been done differently. So when I say like, oh, this is a 4-star, it feels so unsatisfying because it's like, I personally wanted it more to just be Cora and her friends trying to solve these murders because the police won't do it. And it was like that plus the supernatural story, which makes sense. And I think it should have been, and I think it works. But it just is not what I thought it was going to be, and not necessarily what I wanted, but I wouldn't change it. Like, I get that's why it was, and I wouldn't change it. So why isn't it a 5-star? Because it just isn't that 5-star feeling to me, and that's so unsatisfying and annoying that I can recognize that this book, I think, did everything perfectly, but it just wasn't perfect for me. And that's a very annoying feeling to have. So, what I'm saying here is this is a fantastic book. If you are going to this book, if you are interested in this book because you are interested in this perspective from this author who is an Asian American and is going to be talking about the Asian American perspective on what happened during April of 2020 and 2020 in general, the quarantine, the pandemic in general, and the way Asian Americans were treated, like, that is why most people are coming to this book, I think. And she does that and has those conversations so well. And so you should pick this up for that reason. You should. And don't let my personal taste dissuade you from picking up the book. Not that they would anyway, because a 4-star is still a great rating. Again, I feel like I need to apologize when I don't give something a 5-star. 4-star is still a great rating, and I still thought this was a great book. And I wouldn't change anything. So you should read it. Why do I even do booktube? It's so unsatisfying. I know. I'm sorry. I'm annoying. This is a great book. It's great. Pick it up. Anyway, here's my contribution to Summerween. I only got through 2 books. Summerween ended 2 days ago. I just finished this last night. I'm on my own schedule here, okay? 3.75 and a 4. I had a good time. I'm glad I read these. These were very, very high on my TBR, so I'm glad I got to check them off. And we had fun. So happy Summerween, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Goodbye.